And we're live. It's the Revved Up 906 podcast, a Detroit Pistons podcast to be exact. And I'm Hudson.
And I'm Ryan.
And I have three things before we get into today's topic. Quick shout out to Grind Clothing Co. for our new merch. You can find these hats and these sweatshirts soon in our second drop for merch. You can find Grind Clothing Co. on Instagram, and you can find all our links to our first merch drop. We have sweatshirts, t-shirts, and long sleeve t-shirts for sale, so you can rep Revved Up 906 in your community. Also, make sure to like and subscribe because we have vlogs coming. We are in Detroit, Michigan for 2 Detroit Pistons games. We will be bringing you content, vlogs, Revved Up recaps from our hotel, and we will be getting into a lot of different Pistons topics while we're here. So make sure to like and subscribe to be on the watch out for new content. And then also follow us on Instagram for more Pistons content from the games. We are going to be having clips and pictures of the Pistons players on the court while we're here in Detroit. So we will be bringing you actual in-game content. So make sure to go follow us on Instagram. Today's topic, we are going to be talking about the Rising Stars game coming up for All-Star Weekend in Utah. Jaden, Ivey, and Jalen Duren are going to be featured in these Rising Star games. Let's kind of get into it. What do you want to talk about first getting into this topic, Ryan?
There's many different ways you could approach this.
Right.
You could talk about the overall players in the game this year. Mm-hmm. You could talk about how many players from different teams there are, or from one team. You could talk about the coaches and everything, really.
Yeah.
My big takeaway is the coaches and what experiences and lessons our players can learn from them.
Right.
So our coaches for this year's Rising Stars game are Pau Gasol, Deron Williams, Joakim Noah, and Jason Terry.
Yeah.
All 4 of them, solid careers.
Right.
And I broke it down as far as to go, if Jalen Duren got drafted by Pau Gasol, what would I want him to learn from it?
Right.
So, the biggest takeaway that I'd have is what coach could affect Jaden Ivey the most.
Yeah.
Not necessarily Jalen Duren, but Jaden Ivey. Because Jaden has been playing great recently. We've been seeing him in more of his Purdue days and how he's handling the ball, being a key playmaker on this team. And his stats have really jumped up recently. So much so that the stats are so good right now that this is what every Pistons fans wanted to see at the beginning of the season. But people, you have to realize his new role in this team is not being the guy. It's being one of the guys.
Yeah.
And they're wanting really to get him off the ball and see what he can do.
Right. What about Deron Williams? Because Deron Williams was a guy that I really liked for the Utah Jazz. He had a couple of good borderline all-star years. We mentioned how he was on an episode of Sweet Life with Zach and Cody. Shout out to the OGs growing up on Disney Channel. But, Deron Williams was a guy that was a very savvy point guard who knew how to take advantage of matchups. What are you kind of looking from Deron Williams?
So what I want to see is Jaden Ivey really take on the playmaker role. Because something that Deron was so good at was being a guy off the dribble and laying it in or crossing the guy up and pulling up from deep.
Yeah.
He's a natural born shooter. And Jaden, I think, could really take some of the shooting and add that more to his game. Because he can shoot. It's not wow, he's a shooter. Nobody's watching that. Everybody's trying to protect the paint from him.
Right.
So if he can learn how to use a matchup, cross the guy over and hit a shot, I think that will definitely add more depth to his game. And everybody would be like, oh, crap, how do we game plan against a guy that can easily beat us off the dribble and lay it in or cross us up and hit the 3?
Right. And that was what Deron Williams kind of was. Offensively, he was very versatile. And that's what, like you're saying, I think we kind of want to see from Jaden Ivey a little bit more. We have seen him the last 5 games kind of taking those fadeaway mid-range jumpers and hitting them from time to time. And we see him too get to quick 15 points, but we want to kind of see him showing that he can reach 20 points in 4 quarters. So I think Deron Williams, it'll be really nice to see Ivey kind of have that, hopefully have time with Deron over the weekend and kind of take some notes from him. something that I kind of looked at when preparing for this episode was key matchups. Yes, the teams haven't been drafted yet, but there's a couple matchups I would love to see Jaden and Jalen go at, guys. My first one was Jaden Ivey versus Jalen Green. I think it's a perfect opportunity for Jaden Ivey to kind of have a revenge game against Jalen Green in honor of Cade Cunningham not being able to play. So I think it's kind of like a battle of two kingdoms. You know, like let's see Ivey go at Jalen and kind of do what Cade would have done if he was playing. I would really love to see that. Another matchup for Ivey would be Jaden Ivey versus Scoot Henderson. They're kind of similar in build. I think we talked about Scoot Henderson was 6'2", so he's a little bit smaller than Ivey in size, but both physical players, explosive on the jump. I think it would be so fun seeing a one-on-one opportunity against those two guys go at it. That would just be an absolute blast.
Not only that, but it would actually help in the draft experience. So like that would definitely help for us planning for and going forward, in the sense that if we don't end up with the first pick, obviously Wemby's going to go number 1. We already know that. I doubt Scoot's going to go number 1. But if we have the number 2 overall pick, do we draft Scoot? Because a lot of people are saying yes. But I'm in the more of the mindset of like, maybe not, because is he clear-cut number 2 overall pick? Yes. But I think because of his size and what we are looking for in our team, we have already a ton of guards, because we have Killian, Cade, Ivey. It's a logjam. They're starting to be creative, a logjam. And I don't think taking a guard 3 years in a row is smart with the top pick. We need to draft and get some bigs in there.
And you know, that's a good point too, because like I was saying, Jaden Ivey and Scoot Henderson are very similar in play style. I think Scoot's a little bit more, a little bit better at the 3-point shooting, maybe a little bit more consistent. But if Scoot and Jaden in this game kind of are playing against each other and maybe kind of going at it, maybe Scoot isn't the right guy to pick. Maybe that kind of shows. But if Scoot comes into this game, kind of shows a different type of versatility we haven't seen before, I think maybe you start thinking, okay, maybe we will take Scoot. So that's why I do like the G League players getting an opportunity at Rising Stars All-Star Weekend, because it does kind of show a different side of their playing style than you would typically see in the G League, because the G League is typically very fundamentally sound. They're trying to show the skill that they have, where Scoot can kind of come out and kind of show us that outside of the box scoring ability. And I'm excited to see that from Scoot. Another matchup I'm really excited to see, hopefully, is Jalen Duren against Evan Mobley. Because last time we played Cleveland, Jalen Duren, I can't remember if he was out or he had very little minutes, but I know that he didn't really get much time against Evan Mobley. I'm very excited to see two shot blockers kind of go at it. I wouldn't say Evan Mobley's necessarily uber athletic like Jalen Duren is, but he's shown he can put guys on a poster. So I'm kind of excited to see those two bigs, those two massive human beings kind of go at it, and especially in a quick paced offense like this Rising Stars game will be. I just hope they're not on the same team. I hope they go at it one of these games, because I just think that'd be a fun matchup.
Honestly, if Jalen Duren was able to lock down Evan Mobley, oh my goodness. Like, just think
about a block.
Think about our future as a franchise against Cleveland, who's in our division. But also, it would put the NBA on notice, because you're like, a rookie center is locking down Evan Mobley easily. And that would be huge for us. And that would get a lot of praise going for Jalen Duren. Maybe even Rookie of the Year talk even further than it already is. But I would definitely pay to see that matchup.
Last year, we saw Sadiq and Stu be on the same team, and then Cade was on a separate team. I would really like to see Jaden and Jalen on the same team, because if they are, and they have full capabilities of doing whatever they want to do, because I know heading into the Rising Stars game, yes, the coaches are coaching them up for a couple days, but there's no game plan.
Yeah.
The game plan is to put on a show for the fans. And if Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren head into a game with that mindset, dude,
Yeah.
give me a break. That's going to be a fun game to watch. And, you know, Jaden's already proven that he's a good passer when it comes to Jalen. He knows how to get him the ball. We've seen him throw up a couple lobs to him. So they already got that chemistry going. And if you give them full reins of the offense and let them do their thing, it's going to be a blast. I love it.
Now, which coach do you think is going to draft our guys?
Well, you know, Pau Gasol, I definitely don't think it's going to be Joakim Noah. I think he's going to kind of stay away from the Pistons player. We saw him have a long career with the Chicago Bulls, kind of go at it with the Pistons in the early 2000s, kind of mid 2000s. So I think, to me, I'm a big Deron Williams fan. I would love to have Jaden Ivey spend a weekend with Deron. I personally would really like that. But if we're talking about player development, I would like to see Duren go to a Pau Gasol, because then maybe in the gym after practice, Pau is kind of coaching up Jalen Duren, and you don't get that opportunity every day, especially with a guy like Pau. So so if we're going strictly on fundamentals and these coaches really coaching up the players, I'd want Jaden with Deron, and I want Pau with Duren, but I really hope they're on the same team. So I'm hoping they both go to Deron, to be honest. I really like Deron Williams.
I hope Deron too, but I could see Jason Terry taking both of them.
Right.
Just in the sense that if you are unaware, he did coach the Grand Rapids Gold. He did coach Grand Rapids Drive for a little teeny tiny bit. So he has a little bit of a connection to Detroit still.
Right.
So I could see in a sense of, I know I necessarily not like he coached them, but he knows Detroit. So in that sense, he could take two Detroit players and bring them under his wing.
Right.
And Jason Terry would definitely help Jaden Ivey in the sense of longevity.
Yeah.
Because Jason Terry was in the NBA for a long time. And he did a good job for a long time, which is very impressive. Because most players can't do that in the NBA today. So if we see Jaden get taken by Jason, I could see Jaden being more calm, because that's what I would want to take away from him is learn how to be calm, learn how to take what the defense gives you.
Right.
Whereas Jaden, his initial thought is, I'm gonna go score.
Right.
Because if he can just slow it down a little bit and see what the defense is giving him and create opportunities for others, that would definitely benefit our team going forward, especially in late game stretches when we need somebody to be the leader amongst everybody. Because if Jaden can step up and be the leader that this team needs, that would be very good for us.
Yep, we need that, especially with the absence of Cade.
Yeah.
As far as I was kind of thinking about like what guys would complement Duren in this game, and the first name that popped out was Jose Alvarado. Where I think if you're an NBA casual fan and you're like watching the highlights, most people are fans of Jose Alvarado, and he is a very skilled passer. We've seen him throw up some lobs to Zion and Herbert Jones. So I would really like to see Duren alongside with Jose. I think that would be a great duo. And then I also thought Josh Giddey, who's proven that he's kind of been having his ups and downs this season, but consistently a good passer. So I want the guys that are going to set up the Pistons players the best. And I think Josh Giddey is going to do fine with that. And then Jose Alvarado, who's kind of a pass first defending guard.
I wouldn't mind Sengun and Jalen Duren together.
Really? That'd be an interesting front court.
Yeah, because imagine Sengun backing the guy down, passes it over his shoulder, lobs it up, Duren, boom.
Yeah, I can see that.
I could actually see that.
Some notable guys that are left off the Rising Stars game was one we talked about yesterday, Shaedon Sharpe, which is kind of surprising. I know he's in the dunk contest. I don't know if that had anything to do with that.
Well, maybe not, because isn't Mac McClung in the dunk contest this year?
He is.
He's in the dunk contest, and he's in the Rising Stars game for the G League.
Yep.
So
Shaden, it's kind of interesting. I'm kind of surprised he's left off.
my thing for that is maybe the voters thought maybe Shaden is more of like just a highlight guy, which I can see that. I can understand that.
Right.
But think about what he's contributing to a decently good, potentially deep playoff run for the Portland Trailblazers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's a key guy. There's a reason why he was drafted. He can shoot, he's uber athletic, and of course he's gonna have highlight plays because that's the kind of player he is.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite highlight from him recently is his free throw where he made it and then he looked up at the camera and was like,
I didn't see that
didn't
one.
see that one?
No, I didn't see that one. I gotta look that up though. That's
it
probably
was pretty
funny.
good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I like that. I like it. Another guy was, and we just played him last week from the Houston Rockets, Tari Eason, the center. He had a very solid game against the Pistons. I'm not too shocked about that one. I mean, if you're going up against like, I don't know, like Jalen Williams of Oklahoma City, like I'd probably give him the upper hand on Tari. Tari, just his minutes are kind of inconsistent. I'm guessing that's why he didn't get the nod. We saw no Herbert Jones, who's a sophomore, which is kind of surprising.
Very surprising.
I could honestly, like, Quentin Grimes of New York is on the sophomores roster. I'd probably give Herbert Jones the nod.
Probably. Like the fact that Herbert made it last year and then gets snubbed this year, but is having an even better season this year than he did last year.
That's kind of what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. But Quentin is stepping up. Last year it was like, but this year it's like, oh, that's Quentin Grimes.
Yeah, he's making his own role on New York, and he's showing that they need him.
Yeah.
Any other more thoughts that you want to point out?
Not really. I think we've covered it pretty much all. I would say that something to point out is Houston has 3 guys in this game this year. That's a lot. You have Jabari Smith, Jalen Green, and Alperen Sengun. The best out of those 3, in my opinion, is Sengun. He's just having a great season. Anthony Edwards mentioned recently that they need to make him the franchise player.
And Houston?
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that too. Because Jalen Green, no offense, but there's a reason why you were the second one.
Right. And the Pistons notably would have had 3 more than likely if we had Cade Cunningham. So that doesn't mean Houston's in a better spot than us. Okay, Houston fans and Detroit Pistons fans. That just means Cade's hurt. He would be in this game and arguably maybe the All-Star game. I'm just saying maybe the All-Star game. But Houston, they're slowly kind of putting it together, kind of like we are. I wouldn't mind if they put it together a little bit quicker than us because then we got the number 1 pick. I'm just saying. So that'll do it for episode 13. We are live here in Detroit, Michigan. Make sure to follow us on Instagram for all kinds of Pistons in-game content. And we will see you guys in the next Revved Up recap.